Neil Stillwell was born in Phoenix City, Alabama in 1944. His father owned a barbecue business where he worked with his two brothers. Sports played a big role in Neil's life growing up, where he was a standout catcher and running back throughout high school. Soon after high school, Neil chose not to pursue a college degree despite several athletic scholarships. Instead, he married his high school sweetheart, Georgia Nell, and opened Neil's Sports Shops in a 40 by 20 storefront in Phoenix City, Alabama with the tagline, "Deal with Neil." Over the next 10 years, Neil grew the sporting goods concession business to 7 SEC schools, and the retail business expanded to 7 stores. In 1984, Neil traveled to Taiwan to look at the possibility of importing logo merchandise for the stores and the concessions business. As Neil says, he was not sure where Taiwan was, but based on the price of the plane ticket, he knew it was south of Dothan, Alabama. On a trip overseas, Neil saw the opportunity to have caps designed and manufactured with college logos on them. He placed several orders for different schools and was excited about the opportunity, until on the way home he started calculating how much he bought. The minimum order at the time was 500 dozen per style, per color. 6,000 caps, 4 styles, 6 teams, 144,000 caps. Undeterred by the obstacle, Neil began calling his friends who also had sporting goods stores to see if they wanted to buy some of the caps as well. In 1985, he saw the opportunity to sell caps full-time and started the Game and sold Neil Sports Shops. The Game shipped its first product in 1986 and sold approximately $600,000 worth of product the first year. Over the next 5 years, the Game saw explosive growth as well as innovative industry changes. The Game was the first headwear company to sign college football coaches to endorsement contracts for wearing their product. This included Barry Switzer, Pat Dye, Bobby Bowden, Tom Osborne, and others. Legendary designs such as the bar and the circle were introduced by the Game. The Game was the first headwear company to place its logo on the outside of the cap. The Game secured licenses with most major colleges in addition to Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, and the NHL. The 800 square foot retail store had now grown to 200,000 square feet and over $82 million in sales. In 1992, Neil decided to slow down some, and the Game was sold to Russell Athletic. 2 weeks later, Neil was back in business when he was approached by friend Bill Jordan of Realtree to help Davey Allison with his NASCAR merchandise. Neil, Bill, and Davey started A-Star Promotions to begin selling Davey Allison, Texaco Haviland merchandise at NASCAR races. Once again, the entrepreneur spirit of Neil had kicked in because, as Neil would tell you, when he got into the NASCAR business, he did not know a hubcap from a carburetor, and he still doesn't. In 1993, Davey was killed in a helicopter crash. But once again, Neil was undeterred. With Davey's cousin Tommy Allison, Phil Stillwell, and Neil's son Jeff, they started kudzu to sell headwear to NASCAR teams and corporate accounts. 1993 to 1998 saw explosive growth in NASCAR and the branded business for kudzu. Kudzu also capitalized on Neil's concession experience, securing contracts for Bill Elliott McDonald's Racing, the Corvette 50th Anniversary Tour, 1996 Coca-Cola Olympic Torch Relay, World Cup Soccer, Ranger Boats, and many others. In 1998, Neil and his partners at kudzu had the opportunity to purchase the Game back from Russell Athletic. When the Game was back in the hands of the Stillwells, many of the reps that sold the product the first time came back to sell for them once again. Since 1998, the Game has regained college market share, where the bar cap is still the #1 selling college cap design after 25 years. They have continued with NASCAR and have grown the event and fulfillment business to include the President's Cup, the Kentucky Derby, the PGA Tour, and many others. In 2004, Neil and his partners had the opportunity to sell the Game, but to stay on as managing partners. Today, kudzu the Game is owned by Delta Apparel and has 4 basic divisions: the Game, NASCAR, Realtree Outfitters, and Salt Life. The legacy of Neil Stillwell does not stop with a multi-million-dollar sporting goods company, or the brands and products that have been promoted under his leadership, or the companies that have been launched as a direct result of his success. The legacy of Neil Stillwell, or Brother, as most people know him, can also be found in the lives of people he has touched laying brick and sharing in over 25 mission trips to places such as the rainforest of Costa Rica at a Christian retreat for boys, in the cities of Colombia at churches, and in an orphanage in Honduras. A lot has changed since those first days in the 800 square foot sporting goods store, but one thing has not: Neil. He is still amazed that all of this started in Phoenix City, Alabama, still loves to fish, and is still married to Georgia Nell after 48 years. I think you will find that most people would say that it has been good to deal with Neil.